Okay, guys, I was a couple of minutes late. I had a little issue with StreamYard. It wouldn't pick up my microphone, even though I told it to allow access. So we're just going to go live on YouTube, and I hope that YouTube does save this stream so that I can re-upload it for those who missed the live. Oh, Christmas was awesome. I hope yours was awesome. To tell you the truth, I kind of wish I had took this week off. I didn't have a video up for you last Friday, and I gave you a heads up in my last Tuesday live that we did last week that I would not be here with a pre-recorded video Friday. You know, I mean, there's just so much time in a day, and that holds true even now. It was glorious. The time with family was amazing. And even for those that I could not be with, such as my grandkids who are in Texas, my daughter-in-law and son were faithful to send me videos and photos, and so it's just been wonderful. And hopefully later today I get to video chat with them and really get to hear all that excited chatter straight from their mouths. So anyway, one of the new stamp sets coming up in the mini catalog that you will be able to pre-order January the 4th is Stippled Roses. I know y'all have been looking at it in your catalog. It may be something that is high on your wish list. It may not be. I love this set. Now, I've got some tips for you for using it. Learn from my mistakes. I got in here yesterday. I managed a few minutes yesterday and a few minutes on Christmas Eve to come in here and play. So the very first time I stamped and colored it, I used Memento Black, and I really wished I had not put the Wink of Stella on there because the particular pen I used was really juicy. But I didn't care for that deep, deep black, okay? So I tried restamping it, tried making that a little lighter, and on this particular, yeah, I know I was playing with colors. It wasn't as bad, but then the third time I went to stamp it, again, it came out really dark. So here's what I recommend, because the first couple of times I tried to stamp it on a block, and I didn't get good coverage, like in the very middle or the lower middle of this flower. I highly recommend whatever stamping platform that you have, that is what you use. That way there you can re-ink it if you want to. And I've already stamped it. I just left the stamp in the Misty here. But do you see how much softer a look that is? And I used basic gray. So tip number 1 is use a stamping platform and then use a lighter ink. And it doesn't even have to be basic gray. If you want to go lighter, you absolutely can. Honeybee Stamps and some other companies make a no-line coloring ink that is really, really faint, and if you're comfortable with using those, you can. But I've got this, and I've already stamped it, and I've just got it on regular basic white. We're going to take it out, and I want to show you it doesn't have to be complicated to use a stamp like this. Now, obviously, you can take small blending brushes, sponge daubers, and if you want to apply directly to your stamp the colors and then stamp it, again, realize that on this larger image, you may or may not get good results the first time. Again, default back to a stamping platform, even if you're going to choose to color it that way. Some of you are aware that I recently invested in a set of Ohuhu markers, okay? And so these colors right here, I want to show you how well they go with polished, Melon Mambo. The Melon Mambo cardstock. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? That is awesome. All right, guys. So what I have here, in case any of you have the Ohuhu markers, is I have the RP1, the RP6, and the RV320. Now, I'm using 3 colors. You don't have to. You absolutely can use stamping blends for this. You can use colored pencils for this. I did not get out my Prismacolors and try, but I absolutely could have. So, let me just give you some tips on coloring. The artist has already given us all the hints of where our darkest shadow should be. If you're not comfortable starting with your darkest color, and a lot of times we're not, sometimes I'm not, start with your lightest color. You can always then go back and add your darkest color, okay? So I'm just, and this is going to look like a little hot mess in the beginning, and it's okay if you go out of the lines. It's fine. It's all going to blend together. And do understand that any place where 2 objects meet, or you have one laying on top of the other, it's going to cast that little shadow. I should have wrote down her name. I think it was when I got up no, I take that back. It was last night, right before I went to bed. I happened to turn on YouTube, and someone I had never heard of was doing a coloring tips video. I didn't get to watch it. I've got it saved in my favorites so that I can go back and watch it. But she was amazing in how she was describing all of her coloring tips. So, yeah, I'm kind of disappointed I couldn't use StreamYard. Well, actually, the first time I went into the StreamYard studio, it asked for permission to access my camera and my microphone. I gave it permission. It tested my microphone. And I went on into the studio, and then I realized, oh, I may need to set my camera's orientation to make sure it's horizontal. So I backed out of it and tried to start over. And that was when it quit asking to allow access. So there's a screen that shows you if your microphone is working or not. You know, it's got that green status bar, and it shows the volume level. And that wasn't coming up, and I thought, ooh, well, you know, what do I do? So that was part of the reason why I was a couple of minutes late, because I actually came in here earlier, and I'm just checking to see where I need. So see right here where these 2 petals meet, and you have this petal over, you're going to have some shadow right in there. Going to have some shadow there. And I do highly recommend some stamping blends. Of some kind, stamping blends, any version of alcohol marker you have, because of their blendability. So even though that looks blotchy and blobby, hang in there with me, because we're going to fix this. But I hope everyone had an amazing Christmas. So unless you are personal friends with me on my personal page on Facebook, you won't get to see the video that I posted. So we went over to his mom's house, and my sister-in-law, Linda, had come up with some unique games this year. So let me tell you the prank she pulled on I call her mom too, even though she's my mother-in-law. I call her mom. I'm very blessed to have her as a mother-in-law. She is absolutely amazing, as is Linda, her daughter, my sissy. I call her my sissy. She had gone around the house and gathered up just random items that she owned. Now, my mom is really into roosters. I mean, seriously into roosters. And so she's got a ton of them. And all kinds of like little signs that sit around that say different things. I think there was maybe even a used bottle of lotion that was took out of the bathroom. Just little things that she could try to gather up, and then she wrapped them in little gift bags. All the gift bags were handed out to everyone but Mom. And of course, I'm sure she was sitting there wondering, well, why didn't I get one? So we're all opening them one by one, right? We're taking turns. We're going around the room. And, you know, at first it was like, oh, okay, well, you know, somebody else must like what, you know, what I have already got. And it was hilarious. So somebody opened up a leopard print billfold that she had in a garage sale that didn't sell. Okay. Well, as we get around the room, Kimmy opened up a bowl that had little red dots on it. That's when she goes, that's my bowl. She was finally figuring it out. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. So then the jig was pretty much up. Everybody else went ahead and finished opening their their gifts. It was hilarious. It was. I wish y'all could see that video. And I may, you know, if I get permission to go ahead and release it on YouTube. I do have it up on YouTube. I just have it unlisted so that unless you have the link to it, you can't see it. But it was just so much fun. And then with the kids, here was a really cute game I had never seen. Well, let's get back to the card for a minute. So, basically what I have done here, and I don't know how well you can see, where it was the very darkest, I put in that first darkest tone, okay? Again, if you're not comfortable with starting out with your darkest, start with your lightest. You can always go back in and fill it in. And I see a place where I kind of missed on this little bud. Now, I am keeping in mind that these buds are going to be darker than the larger, fully opened flowers, okay? So, on the buds, I am only going to use two colors. I'm going to use my darkest and I'm going to use my mid-tone. Whereas on the big one, and here's my mid-tone, my RP6, I'm going to use a mid-tone and a light color. But I won't use a light color on the buds, and that will give it just a little bit of differentiation right there, okay? So for the kids, Linda took and, all right, I don't know if y'all can see this. Let me kind of hold this up. So right in here where you have hints of shadow, but they're not as deep as the ones we just colored in, that's where I'm going with my mid-tone, okay? And I'm just kind of going over that area. And, hey guys, leave me comments. Let me know what kind of a Christmas you had, please. I would love to hear, love to know how things went with you over the holidays. We are blessed more than we deserve, and I bet a lot of you feel the same way too. The wonderful food and the cooking and everything that was done for our Christmas gathering at Mom's, it was just amazing. Amazing. Absolutely. Okay, we want some mid-tones here, kind of in the middle. A few right in where it's going to be the darkest in the center. I'm going to put a little bit right here. And you can always change your mind and go back and add, you know, more shadows or whatever. So right here where the stippling is lighter and not quite as intense is where I'm going to go with my mid-tone. Okay. But again, it's, you know, it's all about, you know, putting in a few shadows. You want a little bit of contrast. You have to have a little bit of contrast. And the larger the petals and the areas, the more contrast you will actually end up with. So, here we go. Remember, where two pieces meet, two items in your image, that's where you know you're going to want some shadow. And I'm looking here. I think I'm going to bring this down quite a bit on this one. And quite a bit on that one. And we're leaving a little bit. Now, up here, I'm only going to go in with my mid-tone so that overall, this one is darker. Now, let me also caution you and warn you that when you are coloring and the ink very first hits the paper, it may look odd for a minute. Give the alcohol a chance to evaporate and let it settle into what it is supposed to have, okay? Because color tones can and will change from alcohol markers. And even though this is looking, you know, kind of bright and orangey, it won't here in just a bit. It won't. See how already it's settled into that pink here? But over here, it almost looks kind of red or kind of orangey. So don't let that bother you. And now my lightest color, which is my RV320. And now we're going to go in here and put in our lightest color. And this particular shade to me really looked kind of like an orangey pink. But just give it a minute. It will settle down. And you'll see how this lightest color, and I'm coming into my midtones even so, and I'm still pulling that down into the rest of the petals. It's okay that they overlap each other a little bit. In fact, you kind of want that. That makes for a nice, more even blend. I hope y'all can see what I'm doing here. And it is coming together. It's that last color you go to put in that can really make all the difference in the world. So, I have had all kinds of swatches. I have played with all different kinds of colors, trying to come up with exactly the shades that I needed, that they would harmonize with each other and come together. Now, did I put in my shadows perfectly? Probably not. I am not a colorist by any stretch of the imagination. I am not. But I'm trying, and I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to get better. And absolutely, if you got if you know someone who is a really good colorist, now Kelly Taylor is, and probably really the only colorist I have watched her videos. If you know of anyone else, you know, leave it in the comments below, because I will definitely try to expand my skill set in this. I'm basically still a beginner, just like many of you might be. So, and if you are a colorist and you could give me hints and tips, absolutely. Absolutely. I love constructive criticism. Do leave me your expertise, because that's how we all learn, isn't it? When I first started in card making, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know what die cutting was. I didn't know, you know, all the ins and outs about stamping. I had to learn. You did too. So, that's what we are all about today, is learning. All right, I think that finished up. One thing I don't want is any little white areas. So do you see how that ink is starting to settle in? How these colors are blending? Do I need to kind of hold that up for you? See how they're starting to kind of settle in there? It's awesome. Now I do need to go back with my mid-tone, which is my RP6. Make sure I'm picking up the right one. And finish these. I kind of overlooked my buds, didn't I? I did. So we're going to fill that in. And then we're going to very quickly do our leaves. Now, could you do this with just 2 shades? Sure you could. Absolutely you could. I need to turn this and get this little petal. Went outside the line a little bit, but that's okay, guys. We are going to die cut this out. Now, I will freely admit to all of you that I did not have time, truly, to make a wow background. But hopefully I came up with something that might look right. I don't know, because I don't have a finished card to show y'all today. I didn't even get that far. But I tried, guys. I tried to make time to make sure I had something to give you for the day after Christmas. And again, you know, possibly I should have took this week off too, but I thought, well, I really don't need that much time off. Okay, so in some of my samples, so one of the very first ones where the roses are really dark, and they're darker here because of all that black ink. You see what a difference a really black ink and the softer gray ink makes? It kind of lets the rose stand out on its own merits a little bit more than what this one did. And then I used lighter tones for the leaves because the rose was darker, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. In this one where I was playing with my different colors, I had this dark, deeper pink, but I had dark leaves too, and it's almost like they were fighting each other, you know? Whereas if you just have the lighter tones, they kind of help each other out. The dark of the rose helps the lighter leaves pop, and the lighter leaves kind of help those dark colors kind of come forward in more detail. That is my opinion only. Okay, once again, we're going to do the same thing. And in case you have the Ohuhu, I am starting out with the G170, which is May Green. And again, the artist has been very awesome to put those darker areas in. And again, understand, even if it's not there along the edge where it's meeting up with another leaf, you still want some darkness. And right here, as it's coming out from under the rose, you're still going to want to feather some of that dark color up into the leaf, okay, even so. But if you don't do that and all you do is simply follow the shading, that's fine too. You can do that. And if you are more comfortable using a nib instead of the brush, there were times when I was practicing and playing with this, it was like, yeah, I really should have used the nib on that part. But anyway, for right now, I'm just using the brush, but you do what is comfortable for you. And we want a little bit of dark right up in there. Now, on these little buds right here, we've got a lot of dark. It's going to be dark coming out from behind that rose. It's going to be dark on both sides, just like that. And again, and I think at this point on these, I do maybe want to use my nib just to have a little bit better control. Those are tiny little areas right there. I didn't quite get 3 cups of coffee down this morning, but almost. All right, and so here, these tiny, tiny, tiny little leaves. You see that? Just color them in with your darkest color, because they're so tiny and they're so close to the bigger roses that they are going to look darker. Just go ahead and color that in. Trying to make sure I do not leave any white spots. This one is a bit bigger, a little bit more developed. So we're going to leave a little bit of area there for mid-tone. Maybe not the lightest tone in there, but the mid-tone. And we're just hitting all of this where it's the darkest. And it was wonderful the way they created this stamp, because it's really going to be super easy for you to see where it should be the darkest, where it should be the lightest, okay? And then we will get this die cut and get our card put together. And I have to admit, for the inside of the card, I honestly don't know how I want to finish that off. So, I mean, we'll put the layers inside the card, but honestly, right now, as it stands, I don't know how I want to finish that off. So, it's only been a few minutes, and we've just about got this colored in. let me admit to you, as much as I hope everybody wants to order this set, coloring is not for everybody, and I get that. I get that. I do. A lot of people just don't like doing it. Absolutely feel free to use colored pencils. I know from my own experience, like Prismacolor can really pop off the page with the coloring. One of the things I wanted to try with this, and I didn't have time, I actually wanted to stamp this image on craft cardstock. And I wanted to use my Prismacolor. And I wanted to see just how vividly I could get that to pop off the page. There we go. And this is going to be darker right here. There we go. It's going to be darker. Now this is where, so if you can see, they've got that shadow on the outside and it's lighter next to the flower. I am going to reverse that. I'm going to put my darker here next to the flower. And I'll go back in when I come back around with my lightest color. And this is all such a tiny area. I'm just filling it in with my darkest color. Again, don't sweat the small stuff. And I mean literally, don't sweat the small stuff. It's okay. If you don't have room for introducing more than one color, that's fine. You don't have to. And take your time. I hope a lot of you get into this. I know the adult coloring rage is not as intense as it was during COVID. But yeah. All right, now I'm looking here to see if I have all the dark I want down, and I do. So now I am going to go in with my G130, not that one, this one, my G130. We're going to put in our midtones, and again, I don't know how well you can see, I'm actually putting my brush down into that darkest color, and I'm coming forward. Can you see that little bit of difference? And you do that enough times, and the resulting image is, it's going to show. You're going to see all of that different tonality. And sometimes your midtones, you really are not going to have just a whole lot on there, depending on how large your leaf is, how small your leaf is. And so that's going to be a judgment call on your part. And honestly, guys, there's not like a right and a wrong. Okay, you do you. One of the other sets that I have been playing with, Thoughtful Expressions, that has that hummingbird. And when we get around to me showing you that, I am going to show you a much simpler way that you can color that. Much simpler than what we are even doing right here. So, let me see. Do we have... Okay, cancel. I'm not seeing any comments. It's not showing me any. So, chime in, guys. Let me know. Is this boring to you? Would you like to see more coloring videos? Would you like to see less? But this was one of those sets that, honestly, you can't help but not color, you know? So, it's a personal preference thing, and I get that. I do. While we're doing this, while I'm finishing up on this part, so this was the game that Linda did with the kids, and it was adorable. She had bought a couple of bags of the jumbo cotton balls, right? And she had them laid out. They actually got together in the middle of the kitchen floor and all sat down in a little circle, and she started with the youngest child to the oldest, and she had a basket there. It was a large enough oval basket to make the game easy for them. They had a spatula and a blindfold. They had to wear the blindfold, put one hand behind their back, And well, while the blindfold was on, they had to take that spatula and hope they were picking up cotton balls and put them into the basket. Now, she was really good to make sure that basket was under wherever they were trying to dump their cotton balls, okay? I mean, you do kind of have to help them out a little bit, especially the younger ones. And then as each child got done, she would sing Jingle Bells, the first couple of lines to Jingle, the chorus and like one verse, and then their time was up. And then they took off the blindfold, passed it to the next kid to start getting ready. In the meantime, she's counting how many cotton balls they got into the basket. All right, back to the card real quick. So my lightest color is GY1. And again, I'm giving this only because some of you may have the Ohuhu markers. And if you want to recreate the color scheme that I have here, absolutely you can by me giving you those color numbers. They have names, but I don't go by that. I really don't. So, yeah, and then the child, whoever, had the most cotton balls at the end after everyone had their turn, then they were able to, did I get my midtones and my light tones backwards on this? Honestly, it looks like I've already used my light tones. I don't know what y'all think, but I think so. This might have been, yeah, this was supposed to be my mid-tone. All right, let me back up here and let's put some mid-tone in here. And then I'll go back with the other one. So every place I put that lightest color, I'm going back in. See? See how you can go back in with your darkest color? I mean, we're all going to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Just go back in with your darkest color and kind of fill that in a little bit. Because I don't want my light areas where they are right now. Need some of that mid-tone to shine through, so that my light tone can make it pop. You definitely want mid-tone down here, where it's going to be darker anyway. And you can go right over your darkest color. If you take a lighter color in an alcohol marker and go over the darkest color, you'll pull a little bit of that darkness away and you will lighten it. I do want some of that mid-tone coming out. I think I got it here. May add a little bit more, especially right down in here. There we go. Now I can go in with my lightest tone. See? See what happens when I get to talking, guys? One of these days, maybe I'll be better at lives than what I am right now. But anyway, onward and upward, right? And I hope you're starting to see that little bit of glow from the lightest color to kind of make these have a little bit more definition. A little bit more. And as I'm dragging across even the mid-tone and bringing that in, it's just making it blend together so pretty. So pretty. But yeah, that was such a cute, cute game. I don't know where she comes up with these ideas, but the kids all really had a lot of fun. It was awesome. It was awesome. And the winner won a little fleece blanket. It was so cute. I thought, wow, that was a heck of a prize for that game to get a fleece blanket. But that's just how generous my husband's family is. They have been so good to us over the years. All right, I want to die cut this, and I'm trying to decide, guys. Another confession. I bought another die cut machine, and I've been using it nonstop for the past week. Finally got it out of its box. Thought, well, I'm going to try this out. I love this machine, guys. I love it. I wasn't going to show it, but I'm going to. Let me get it. Because I really thought what I would end up doing was just using it off screen. And for the most part, I am going to use it off screen. But y'all know me. You know I'm going to be transparent, right? You know I am. So, Gina K recently came out with her intricate. And I know you can't see all of it. Let me show you just a couple of features real quick. And I can't raise my camera up any more than it is right now. Guys, I'm looking for another stand. One that has a little bit more versatility because that's where it's at, okay? Hold on. I am going to fold these back up for a minute. And I want to show you. And you would think, oh, how awful that would be. Hold on. Look here. I can take this handle off. Let me see how well. You see this little button right here? I just simply go in here and push it. Looky there. And when I got it, let me show you something else. And I'll show you this one because it's more on camera view. You see this right here? It has a storage compartment. Wait a minute. Let me push that all the way in. It has a storage compartment. Both sides do. And that handle was right in there. So if I want to be portable with this or take it to card classes or anything, I can detach that handle just that easy. And I can put the handle back on just that easy. Look there. Isn't that awesome? Okay, here's another feature. And let me pull this back out. You only have to use a platform plate and a cutting mat, her cutting mat. That's it. I don't care if you're doing a 2D embossing folder, a 3D embossing folder, a die cut, doesn't matter, and here's why. Now, I will tell you up front, this machine is heavier a little bit heavier than our Stampin' Up! Cut and Emboss, okay? So for those of you who may have elbow issues, shoulder issues, do bear that in mind, okay? Right here on the side, if I can get this where you can see it. You have settings for your dies, for your 2D or your letterpress if you have that system, and your 3D. Right down here, you can tighten it, you can loosen it. Depending on what your medium is, which setting you're on. You know, not all 3D embossing folders are the same thickness. Some are thicker than others. So in that case, if you had one that was super thick, just push in on that button and you would loosen that up however much you needed to loosen that up. I gotta tell you, only one time in all the use I have put this thing through in the past week, I've only had to adjust one time. I pretty much keep it at 0. And you do have to push in to move it. So no worries that in the middle of using it, you could accidentally turn that dial. You purposely have to push in to change it, okay? Now, here's the other thing. And now, you see I've got my new glass mat. Check this out, guys. When you lower your tables on both sides, and you can push them in or not, but I like mine pushed in. It isn't moving. It's not going anywhere. In fact, I'm picking up my glass mat underneath with it. It has suction on the bottom when these are down. Is that not amazing? And then when you raise it up, the suction goes away and you can easily pick it up. So the way that mechanism works is this recess part right in here. When you lower that to die cut or emboss, whatever you're doing, these bulge out a little bit and clamp down onto your surface. And then when you retract your sides, they suck back up into this foot. It is amazing. It is awesome. I am learning to use it one-handed because I don't have to hold on to it. All right, so we've got that done. I think I got a little crooked here. Am I straightened up again? All right. Now that we have got this colored, we're going to die cut it. Oh, one more thing. So you've got your platform. This is not a cutting surface, okay? You have your cutting mat. If you are going to keep your platform on the bottom, okay, let's say you're going to die cut something, then you would put your die cut face up so that it cuts into the cutting mat. Eventually, you do have to replace your cutting mats, but it's almost like a self-healing cutting mat. And you do want to flip it around and use it different ways. Like I said, I've used it hard and heavy. I've got a little tiny bit of a bow. So all I have to do is flip it over to the back side, because I didn't always remember to flip it in between. And it will flatten right back out. And it's just been a game changer. Love, love, love it. I don't have to worry about clear plates. Because with clear plates, I don't know about you guys, but after just a few uses, it was warping. And I can't tell you how many die cuts and things I have run through that machine. 3D embossing folders, regular embossing folders, just really putting it through its paces. Love, love, love it. All right, I have got to find my stamp set here. My Stippled roses. Can you see that? I want you to see the stamps. They are red rubber. And yes, I've been using some pigment inks and stuff here and there, just in playing with this set. And so my stamps are a little stained, but they're okay. Look at that beautiful leaf. Do you see these dies? Oh, they're awesome. I'm not sure what I did with the ones that I cut out, but it does put that texture and those cutouts in there. It is awesome. You have one die here. Let me get my take your pick tool so I can get a hold of it. That cuts out all 3 flowers at one time, but it cuts them out separately. Now, this one right here. Yep, if I can get a hold of it. They're really stuck on this magnet. I buy Marietta brand magnets. They're 5x7. They're already sticky on one side. Perfect for the Stampin' die cases that we get from Stampin' Up. So this particular image right here, and I don't know what I did with the ones I had already die cut, because I die cut them to show. Oh, I do too know. Where did I put that? I do too. So here are all the stamps die cut. Now it looks like I've got a glare. Let me take it out of my page protector. I've been trying to get ready for my first class in January, okay? And I need to be able to show them all the goodies, but isn't that pretty? Okay, so there's that. And here are the die cuts. Let me take them out of the page protector, okay? So here you have the outline, and that's the one that we're going to use to cut out that rose. And here is the big leaf swag. And you have all 3 flowers that cut out at one time. That die plus this one. And they will layer right over here on top of the other 2 foliage dies. I didn't actually lay them on there, but you've got that little place, and that little place. Some are bigger than the others, and so you have the graduated sizes so that all 3 will fit on there. You can also take these and put them on there. You can interchange them. So this die set has got so much versatility. And do you see that? Look at the dots and the cut. Isn't that pretty? Yes, there is a lot you can do with this set. I haven't even begun to touch the surface. But there you have it, a good up-front, in-close view. And I'm going to take my outline die, and I'm just going to die cut this off screen real quick. I'm not going to, because you can't really see. I was going to say, well, yeah, I could too, but honestly, you're not going to be able to see it. So what I do want to do is get this lined up to the best of my ability. And I'm going to tape that on there. And I am going to run it through my Gina K real quick. I find it is much easier and smoother to crank things through. The only downside, like I told you, it is a little heavier. For me, that was not a game changer. It might be for you. But I am just loving this. All right, I am fixing to crank this through. if you mess up and you should accidentally cut on your platform, you haven't ruined it. You haven't. Because I know me, and at some point I will. I know me, because I'll get in a hurry and I won't think about what I'm doing. I know me. All right. Take that off. There we go. We're die cut out. I want to put my die back, make sure it's safe, protected. All right. Now, what I did do in advance was cut 2 more outlines out of basic white. Sorry about that camera shake. I'm so sorry. And then I want to glue it behind here to give it some lift. Well, if I get it oriented right. We're going to glue that back there. And that's just going to let it kind of come up off of the front of the card without having to use dimensionals, without having to use foam tape. So if you've got, you know, absolutely, you could use cheap Walmart cardstock for this kind of thing. Nobody's ever going to see it. It's not going to be something that has to have all that to it for stamping purposes, because you're simply going to use it to pop up your images. That's all. So it doesn't have to be really good cardstock, just something where it'll give it a little bit more thickness and heft. Am I lined up all the way around? Am I off anywhere? I don't think so. All right, so what I have is a basic white card base. And I went round and round trying to come up with how I wanted to finish it off. I have got another white layer laying over here. I have got a Melon Mambo layer. I put Melon Mambo on there, and then another white layer, and didn't like it, wasn't happy, looked too plain. I also had a black, well, I'm not sure where it went now. Here it is. I took a piece of basic black and I embossed it with one of those folders out of the basics, the 3D basics. And I put that on there, and then a white layer. And I even tried it with a big white layer, so I just had a little tiny bit of the black coming out. And I didn't like it. So, right before going live, what I did was I went into one of my poly glaze designs. It's the basket design from Gina K. And I put the sterling silver foil over it, ran it through her fused laminator, and it perfectly is sized if you want to fit the front of a card. And in which, this case, I think I do. I don't think I want layers on this card. So we're going to try, because honestly, I didn't lie when I told you I didn't have a finished card to already show you. I have thrown away so many scraps of where I tried out alcohol markers and different colors and blending them together, and yeah, on and on and on. And this is, I mean, you can cut these panels down if you want to, but I thought how awesome just to have that fit the whole front of my card and let that simple basket design speak for itself. And I've got them laying over here. So it's a poly glaze, and they're called Delicate Basket. And you get 10 sheets. Awesome. And so now we're going to take our focal point, and I thought that made a really pretty background for that. It was quick, it was easy, awesome. Now my sentiment, there are some sentiments in the Stippled Roses set, but I decided to take You Make Good Things Better out of the Delicate Forest set. Also a new one. Also one I cannot wait to get into and play with. There's going to be a lot of techniques you can do with this one. Absolutely. And look at these dies. Isn't that awesome? It is so, so sweet. Look at those. And then you've got like a ground. It'll kind of cut you out a little bit of like a hill on the foliage. And you have the sentiment dies. And I use that sentiment die right there for the You Make Good Things Better. I stamped it in the basic gray. That I will pop up on mini dimensionals. Just need to find a set of minis. I don't know why I never think to have my mini dimensionals out, but I don't. Ah, here's some out of a previous paper pumpkin kit. I don't throw any of that stuff away. I save all my leftovers. I do. And let's just go ahead and get this ready to pop up, and we're going to glue down our flower. Oh yeah, can you tell I reuse cardstock? If I mess up on something, I reuse it. So today is also my grandson Ian's birthday, and I know his mom and dad don't watch my videos, but just in case, I'm going to give Ian a big shout out. You know, it's hard, and it's hard on parents when the children have Christmas and birthdays real close together. My husband's birthday is tomorrow, so I want to give him a big shout out too. I'm still not real happy with the card of his that I made for his birthday, but I'm going with it because I spent quite a bit of time on it. I did, and finally got it finished, and I just didn't have time with Christmas and everything else going on to start over. All right, where's my big block? I've got it covered up with smaller blocks. Let me get my big one out. I'm just going to lay that on there for just a second. We're going to peel these off. Get that ready to pop up. But yeah, I've been praying that everyone had a safe, if you were traveling, a safe holiday, and that everyone felt blessed and felt that joy that he gives us, doesn't he? He does. Now, I'm just laying it right down here. I actually did want it to come out of that border right there. Am I straight? Maybe. I hope that's straight. All right, guys, what do you think? Isn't that an awesome, awesome set? And I will tell you, play your cards right. You can do like a black and white and never even have to color. You could do a black and white card if you don't want to color. But I'm telling you, you're going to love this set. It is amazing. It is awesome. I don't know what we're going to have for our video Friday. I do not have that pre-recorded yet. Again, I wasn't even sure that I was going to pull off doing a live this morning. Thank you all so, so much for being here. Oh, Sharon. They look 3D. Thank you. I am so happy. Thank you. That does my heart good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. If there's any other comments, YouTube isn't showing them to me. But as always, you guys know I will always come back and I will always reply and acknowledge you. Because for me, that's such a blessing. All of you being here, all of you commenting, your thumbs up, everything. You're amazing. How wonderful you are. Anyway, until Friday, y'all be safe and you be blessed. God is good all the time. Bye, guys.